Hey everyone, this is Olay from Laddering Your Success, and you're listening to the LYS Podcast. Gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages, welcome one, welcome all. You know what it is. We are here once again, live and direct for another Sunday of LYS Free Student Mentoring. As always, we got an all-star cast here with my good friend Festus and Olay. I'm here with my good friend Jamark Crawford. I'm here with my good friend Daniel Hill, aka Slime God. No, I'm joking. That's how the kids be talking these days. It's slimy. It's slimy. How you guys doing today?
Good, bro. Yeah, y'all.
Man, I'm wonderful. I'm trying to figure out what is slimy means, but
Ask Caleb. Caleb probably knows.
Caleb, what does is slimy mean?
I don't know myself.
Good. You know what? Stay innocent.
But you know what that YouTube checks out?
Yes, sir. As he said, yes, sir.
Hey, Caleb, you need to come help us out with YouTube, man. Help some brothers out. You know what I'm saying? Help some brothers out.
We're gonna buy a phone. Sorry, what you say?
Yes, sir.
All right. We're gonna buy you a phone. Just let you do your thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we're good.
You run it. Run it. Go ahead.
Gonna have to give you some LYS credentials. You know what I'm saying?
Make it official,
Mm-hmm.
Hey, we should do like The Rock, have LYS chains and give everybody an LYS chain whenever they join.
I don't know what the LYS would be like. It'd be like LYS in the building.
Why?
But that's
like
I don't know what that is. Anyway.
Like, who are these guys? You walking around with ladder chains. It's weird, but it's all good.
That would be dope, though.
A ladder chain, you know what I'm
saying?
Hey, copyright 2022. You know what I'm saying? Trademark.
You're on a ladder with some diamonds on the top. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Oh,
that's a verbal contract into perpetuity.
Yeah,
all
exactly. Rights
and likenesses of LYS Incorporated.
Exactly.
Festus and Olay Enterprises. It's under your umbrella, right? Hey, we out here, man. We umbrellas, shell corps, LLCs. Hey, what was that thing you were talking about, Crawford? Not the LLC. Remember that time when we went to the buffet, me, you, and Hill? It was something. It was was it S Corp?
You're muted. You're
on mute.
Yeah, that's what it was.
The S Corp, you know what I mean? You got the S Corp, everything. You know what I mean? We out here branding new way. I'm gonna get one of those wave caps to hair pieces to give me waves back. Festus, you know those things? No, I'm just kidding. Oh, your hair popped up quick. Never
to get you wave back. You got to get hair back first before you get away.
You know how crazy those things are when you see and when I say it looks clean.
Oh, you talking about the little toupee deal?
The pieces, yes.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow, you can put a do-rag, go swimming with it and everything.
Hey, don't do it, bro.
Just embrace the baldness, man.
Exactly. When it's my turn, I'm embracing the baldness fully.
And you can't go halfway with it. The funny thing is, when I went bald, like, first of all, like I know I spent close to like $1,000 on different things like pomades and oils and vitamins and this, that. I fought the good fight. And then I talked to a friend and he was like, all right, this is what you do. You wait till you have a couple free days. You go to the barber, you get the ball just to see if you can process it. You know what I mean? If you like it. And then, from there, if you like it, cool. If you don't, you can keep fighting a good fight. I was in Dallas and it was called, I think the name of the barber his name was Ross, and it was Cut and Fade. And I'm giving them a shout out because till today, it's the best bald shave I've ever had. It's actually, they called it the Kojak. And if you remember Kojak was this detective show from the 70s.
Detective, yeah.
Teddy Savalas.
Was that before Shaft? Or that was about the same
it must
time?
have been like, if not before, like definitely right around the same time.
The same time,
but I can't say, but it's definitely around the same time period. So that man gave me that bald shave. And normally, so for people, like when you're bald, if you run your finger going with the, what do they call it?
Grain.
With the grain, thank you. It feels bald, right? You can't feel anything. But when you go back, you can feel a little, like those little tiny follicles. Yeah, stubs, right? Coming back. When I went backwards, it felt just as bald as it did when I went forward. So that's how I was like, this is the cleanest bald shave I've ever had. And it looked good. I was like, it's not bad. It's cool. And so I went out, and the funny thing is I would tell my friends, like, yeah, I'm officially bald now. They're like, bro, I thought you've been bald. Because come to find out, I was already doing like, I would get tapers. I would always get a taper, but I got it like so low that it was technically, I was just getting like a little bit of hair with a really, really, with a really hard fade. So I was like, just went full ball with it. I was like, that's cool, man.
Taper Draper.
No, boy, the boys don't know about Taper Draper.
Oh man. Okay. So we actually have to get into this episode now.
Do we though?
Yeah. So I think from last week, we were talking about lesson planning and why it's important. And we were talking about the LYS app, why we created it. I'm glad Caleb's here because Caleb could give us a student's perspective on lessons that they're getting in school. So I definitely think that's going to be super dope to get that perspective as well. So Olay, do your thing. You want to go ahead and introduce us and get us started?
Absolutely. Let me get this up here in a second. All righty, folks, as always, if you want to get in contact with us can you see my screen, guys? Okay, there it is. You can see it, right? The Instagram? I can't hear you. Can y'all see it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So on Instagram, LYS students and _LYS if you want to get in contact with us via Instagram. This is for students. This is for educators. This is for parents. This is for concerned citizens. Whoever, if you are concerned or if you have a heart to help young people or people in general find their purpose and figure out why they're here on this earth, figure out ways to help them learn, to participate in different activities, LYS students or _LYS to get access to that. Also on Facebook, Laddering Your Success on Facebook. Just type that in. You get access to this very LYS free student mentoring as well as any other pieces of any ads, any things that we're doing when we go out. You get access to all of that as well on Facebook. On YouTube, Laddering Your Success. Lots of great interviews that are going to be there on YouTube. Can't wait to see what we use the LYS platform on YouTube for. Trying to get like Caleb, trying to get these checks coming in. So be on the lookout for LYS Laddering Your Success on YouTube. On TikTok, LYS Be No Do. More information that we do a lot of our different videos on our 7 different tenets that we talk about here at LYS: spiritual, financial, educational, social, vocational, health, and what am I missing? Spiritual, vocation. There's always 7. Spiritual, educational, financial, social, health, cultural, financial. Yes. LYS Be No Do on TikTok. LYS Be No Do on TikTok. If you have a question, if you have a comment, a concern, a critique, a criticism, you remember that, Crawford? Critique and criticism. If you would like to use us for if you would like to use it for a workshop, church group, school group, youth group, info@ladderingyyoursuccess.com. Our Discord is live. Actually, Caleb, I'm going to send you an invite before we leave today. If you have Discord, you and your brothers and your friends, tell your neighbors. We are live on Discord. We're going to get that going, and we're going to get that as a wonderful way for us to engage, especially with our young people, with our students, with our mentors, with our teachers, with our educators, with our admins, with our counselors, with everyone to get great information out there. All right. And lastly, if you love what we're doing, if you want to see us continue to grow, if you want to see us continue to grow and do big things, on Cash App, $Laddering Your Success is where you can get access to that to help us out in that financially. All right. So what we talked about for the last 2 weeks really has been, what is a lesson plan? What is a lesson plan? So we gave the definition, essentially, a really good definition. A lesson plan is a teacher's daily guide for what students need to learn, how it will be taught, and how learning will be measured. Lesson plans help teachers be more effective in the classroom by providing a detailed outline to follow each class period. Right? And so we talked about why lesson plans are important. We talked about the need to be able to accurately kind of plan and know your students, know how they learn, know what they'll respond well to, know what they won't respond so well to, know some of the limitations that they'll have. What are some of the assumptions that we can make about this? Is this the first time they've heard about this particular concept or skill that we're trying to teach? If so, how can we put it in a way that's easy for them to be able to understand? Are there any language barriers, right? So many things go into the importance of a lesson plan, right? It kind of helps us guide learning, guide teaching, guide learning, right? And so we talked about current issues with lesson plans. We talked about the fact that for a lot of us, we have a lot of things that need to go on these lesson plans that we may not even get a chance to get to. We have limited time, right? So on a lot of these lesson plans, we got to put how long certain things are going to be, right? For some of us, we're just stressed out. We don't even, a lot of people just take lesson plans from previous years and they just use them again. They'll recycle them, right? They kind of don't really, you've either lost that fire to want to do that, or you have so many other things going on, right? So those are kind of like current issues with lesson planning, right? I think the Madeline Hunter lesson plan is a wonderful template, right, for learning. But I think that there may need to be some upgrades or some things that we really need to talk about in 2022 with the stage where we're at on how to present a lesson plan. Hey, LYS fam, it's Olay once again. You know, these days, many families are busy, but want personalized attention. We at Laddering Your Success understand this dilemma and have created a unique approach to help guide you and your child with personal development tools to build a life of purpose. This intimate approach is helpful for those parents that feel the need to have a focused heart-to-heart conversation deciding on the next steps after high school. We provide individual post-secondary planning, virtual customized college and career counseling, and scholarship guidance and planning. Our one-on-one sessions are tailored to each individual student to maximize their potential in the post-secondary realm. With our guidance, your child will be able to make their dreams a reality. Don't wait. Simply go to lys.com/parents to get your copy today. Now let's get back to business on this podcast. Right? So that kind of leads us to today's question. How can you be, know, do with lesson plans? How can you be, know, and do with lesson plans? So, Festus, do you want to go and...
Well, yeah, I really wanted to hear from Caleb real quick.
Oh, sure.
On how do you view the lessons that you're taught in the classroom? So, you know, as a student, you know, teachers make these lessons, right? And then they come and they give you all the lessons. But from your perspective, what is it like, right? And don't feel, you know, because, you know, Mr. Schronke and Mr. Crawford, that, you know, you have to answer in any particular kind of way. So what are your views?
No, he does.
No, don't harass that young man.
That's how you speak, man. No, we're just kidding.
So how do you view the lessons you're taught in the classroom?
I view the lessons that I'm taught in class. Wait, like, do you mean like how is it taught, like on like a screen or writing it down?
No, just your perspective on the lessons. Like, are they good? What's good about them? Are they bad? What's bad about them? Just your perspective on what you're taught.
So I think I think how we're taught in classroom is great because the science experiments, he explains what we are doing well. And just for math, like if anybody needs help, he teaches us how to do it in different methods.
So it sounds like you really value the teacher having kind of that one-on-one or small group input. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, what about the actual material itself, like what you're being taught? Do you think it's good? Do you think it's not so good?
Oh, for the topics,
Mhm.
I'm trying to think of the topics that we do. Okay, so for the fractions,
Mhm.
yeah, I'm sorry, I need the question again.
So how do you view the topics that you're actually taught? Do you like them? Do you think they're good? Do you think they're not good?
The topics that we learn for math, it's good because for dividing fractions, like for that, it's different than multiplying fractions. So then that's why I know it's good.
Okay, so you use that dividing fraction to divide your YouTube checkup, don't you? Like now you know if your brother's trying to get over on you on the YouTube check or not, right? It's based off of how he did the fractions. Okay, okay. All right, thank you, Caleb. You could go ahead and go on mute. I'm gonna come back to you in a second. But yeah, Olay, I think the way that we be no do is first and foremost by relationships with the students, right? I think as educators, and you know more than me because you guys are still in the grind in the classroom. I think that relationship helps to help the teacher to see the character of the students. And it's hard because, you know, you got so many different personalities, but generally speaking, there's kind of, I guess you could say, an esprit de corps or a spirit of the classroom that comes out of those students. And based off of that character, I think that can help you formulate, okay, this is what the kids are going to really soak up and take in, or they're not going to really soak it up and take it in. And I think knowing is, you know, kind of what you pointed out earlier about knowing what your students are doing outside of the classroom. What are they into outside of the classroom? Because I think that then can lend to how you teach specific material and content. And then finally, doing is executing with excellence is when we find out that the students are doing things outside of the classroom, is pushing them to endeavor into those things that are going to have good outcomes for their lives. I think so often we don't push students into things that are really good for them. We kind of push them into those regular normal things. It's like, hey, you know, yeah, play basketball, play football because it's going to keep you out of trouble. And it's like, okay, what happens when they graduate and basketball and football is no longer there? You know what I mean? Like, like I'm not against it. I play football. I think it's a wonderful thing, but I think we need to have these conversations that the students are more than a sport. They're more than you know, some kind of extracurricular activity that we think is good for them only, right? And point them toward the bigger things in life. So I'll end right there. You're still muted, Olay.
Sorry. I think that's wonderful. I have to write that down over here because that idea of the relationship with students is key. Man, especially these days, I think definitely students, they rely on those relationships with teachers. Definitely. Mr. Crawford, Mr. Hill, you guys have anything you want to add to that?
So there'll be no do of lesson
Yes, sir.
planning.
Within lesson planning.
I feel like Festus, you guys hit it on point, especially with the relationships. I guess if I could relate it to the be no do, I would think of it as strictly lesson planning. Where do I want the students to be by the end of the lesson? What do they already know? And by using that information of what they already know and where I want them to be, then that's when I would ask myself, what is it I can do to get them there? So that's the way I thought of it to relate it to lesson planning.
I think that's a dope perspective on the be no do too. Olay, I think that really is. But for somebody who hasn't actually, you know, been at, you know, gone through the academy yet, that's dope.
So yeah, absolutely. Hill, did you have anything you wanted to say?
Nah, bro. I'm over here driving right now. My bad.
Oh, no worries. No worries. I actually wanted to share something. I was kind of just drawing something as we were talking here. Yes, that's key. I think the reason why me, Crawford and Hill are so close is because we kind of have a lot of the same views on these things. I think what we have seen is that there's a point where passion and mandates and bureaucratic, policies and politics get in the way. And I feel like teaching is one of those things that's so pure, and right now it's so not pure, it's so toxic. And, a lot of our passion kind of gets strained and drained. And so that kind of takes away from what we want to do at our core. And that's kind of get to like the basis of education, kind of like what education started off as, which is more of this preparation for, I'll say, you could say adulthood, but preparation for just life, right? And it reminded me of, well, before I go into that, let's just go here. And so we talk about our values and our principles, and when we be no do, they kind of rely within the 7 chapters of LYS. So those 7 chapters are financial, social, educational, cultural, vocational, health. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Financial, social, education, cultural, vocational, health, spiritual, right? And taking and encompassing all of these different aspects of life within, a certain set of values and principles. And I think that's really beautiful, because that literally takes any single person, right, from any walk of life. And we talk about these things collectively. And then we talk about the resources that are around you, right? And how do you get access to them? I think one thing that we'll see is that, for instance, I went and I bought some things off of this auction thing for my classroom, and there has been a sheet of paper that's been above a copy machine, probably in the same spot for like the last 5 years that I've been at the school. But it wasn't until I just had some time and I just stopped and looked that I was like, what? That's an auction thing? And it was just that, knowing that, right, and getting access to it, I was able to help my classroom. And now, I told Crawford about it. Hill's ready to leave and start a whole new business, doing it. And so it's one of those things. It's like,
Hill, I was gonna say, Hill, we gonna have to talk about that.
So it's like, that's to know, like, what are the resources around me and how do I get access to them, right? And then we talk about the do. How do we execute with excellence? So we have to think about those people that help us. A lot of times there are people who know these things, right? And they give you, as Festus likes to say, they give you, like $1 million worth of gain for free 99. How do you serve that person? Or how do you show your thanks or your gratitude? That was actually what the sermon was about today. This morning was about gratitude and showing gratitude. And so, like, how do you execute with excellence when you're going about this journey and finding your purpose and dealing with your family and all these other things? How do you execute with excellence? So when it comes from a lesson planning experience, I think or a lesson planning perspective, the relationship with students is key, or it's an ideal. And so what I'll say is, I think a lot of us, and I'll give you a personal story. I had a teacher come to me recently and was like, you seem like you are angry, or you seem like you're not yourself. You seem like you're distant. And it just goes to show you, when you grow, sometimes you grow out of just a certain way of living. Because normally I'm the guy who's like, hey, how's it going, guys? This year I'm more like, hey, what's up? Right? I'm just more to myself. I find myself being closer to Crawford and Hill and some of the, the circle's just gotten smaller, right? Because you learn as you get older, you get wiser as you get older. And so I was like, I told her, I said, do you know that I actually feel closer with my students this year than I have in the last 2 or 3 years? I actually feel like I'm having more fun with my students. I'm just focusing on the classroom. Hey, LYS fam, it's Olay. Just wanted to take a quick break to let you know that even though the cost of college can be daunting, the LYS Scholarship Guide ebook can assist you in realizing your dreams. You can identify and apply for scholarships using the information, advice, and resources in our comprehensive guide. Also, we've provided a template for a successful scholarship essay to help you stand out from the crowd. Don't allow student loan debt to control you. Get your copy of the LYS Scholarship Guide ebook right away to take charge of your destiny. Simply go to lys.com/parents to get your copy today. Now let's get back to that fire conversation. This year than I have in the last couple of years. And so they were talking and they were going and going. And then they were like, well, you know, it's one of those things where, you know, I know this job is hard and I know we go through a lot, but, you know, it's one of those things where if you feel like you can't, if you feel like it's too much, you just, you know, no one's asking you to do this. You can leave. And I was like, man, that's very dangerous. That's very dangerous. And I'll tell you why I thought it was dangerous. Teaching is the only profession where you say that to people. Like, it's okay. I know it's hard, but yeah, it's okay. Just keep going. Yeah, I know it's hard. I know what happened. Oh, you have hypertension now? I know. The stress, I know. Just, no, it's okay, but you got to keep going. Oh, wow, you got diabetes too? Hey, too many. I saw you eating them sugars. I told you not to eat them sugars. Yeah, you're fine. Just chill. Oh, you got cholesterol issues? Dang, it's crazy. Yeah, hey, no, you're fine. But just the kids, that's where it's at. You gotta, I mean, these kids, they look up to you so much. It's like, cool, yeah. Oh, now you're getting body pains. Oh, man. Oh, you're getting body pains? Oh, man. Oh, it's okay. You're gonna be fine. Hey, you know, you can always, if you want to do it, you can always give it up. So it's one of those things where it's like, you want to help, you're working in your purpose, you're passionate about it, but there's just more and more and more that gets put on you. And it's this feeling of, hey man, it's okay. You know, and so now you have the issue that you have now. Huge teacher, not layoffs, but you know, people just, they're not even running away. When I say these teachers are walking away, these teachers look like me when I'm done with something. When I'm done with something, don't expect me to look back. Like they, you know how I know they're done? They're leaving things in their classroom. They're not even taking their things with them.
Golly. So they just no call, no show, no.
Oh, sir, no, sir.
Oh, wowzers.
They're just up and walking. So it's you got to ask yourself, like, you know, what's really happening, and who. And actually, let me share this, because this is actually the thing that I wanted us to talk about. Hill said, "Wallet, phone, and keys is all I'm taking." Let me share this. Because if there's one thing I believe in, I believe you gotta have the tough discussions, right? You gotta have the tough discussion. So how do we deal with the issues with students in 2022? And we talk about this a lot, right? And these are things that, you know, teachers have to deal with on the forefront. And as a teacher, I can tell you one of the things that I see a lot of is I see a lot of people looking to teachers to solve these problems. Right? They're looking to teachers to solve, as if, you know, don't get me wrong, we have a huge amount of influence. A lot of us see our students more than the parents see the students. But at the end of the day, like I said before, there's mandates, there's politics, there's bureaucracy, there's so many things that are in our way of kind of dealing with this. So that's the question I want to pose to everyone here is, how do we deal with a lot of these issues that we see our students going through? You know, in 2022. I don't know if you guys saw it. I think it was a joke. I don't think it was real, but it was this thing that said, this is what the human being is going to look like in 2050. And basically the human in 2050 has like scoliosis because they're always looking down at their phone.
I think I did see that.
Did you see that? I didn't think it was true, but it just made me laugh because it was like scoliosis because they kept looking down. But that's the question I want to pose to us is, how do we deal with the issues of our students these days in 2022? as in all facets, as a parent, as an educator, and as a student? How do we deal with that? Technically, we have all of those here. So I want to pose that question to everyone.
Hey, Crawford, go first. Crawford, you want to go first?
I don't mind. Did you already know what you wanted to say, or you want me to go? Okay. How do we deal with issues with the kids in 2022? In my humble opinion, first off, I feel like the student has to want the help or the situation to improve. What I have realized by trying to talk and mentor and build a relationship with the students is that they have to want the help, they have to want the growth, they have to want the improvement, because at a certain point, I saw myself wanting more for them that they wanted for themselves, and it caused internal damage to me. But to answer the question, how do we deal with it? I would suggest, talking to the students to see if they even want the help or want the improvement. Then from there, just building that relationship and getting to know that student on a personal level to try to see where the cracks are and build that foundation as a person.
Man, I think that is fire. And I commend you, Crawford, for the transparency and the honesty as always. I think that is a big thing. And I just kind of think back to when I was doing youth ministry, right? Is like, schools have problems because legally the kids are forced to be there and their parents get in trouble if they're, church has problems because the parents want the kids to be there. And, you're supposed to be like this, I love God, so therefore I love everybody. And the reality is not everybody is lovable, right? And so that's the thing I would actually start doing with the kids. I'd be like, hey, listen, I got a question for you. This is what I'm doing. I'm mentoring, I'm showing people this, I'm showing people, whatever I'm gonna show people. Do you want it or not? If you don't, I'm okay with that. And I think sometimes the kids aren't really ready for that level of transparency from adults, right? But it's much needed, because a lot of these kids, and I think this is the kind of big lie that a lot of kids are getting. A lot of kids, there's a couple of lies, but here's the big one. One big one is that there's going to be like Disney white horse, knight in shining armor come to save you eventually. That is a complete fallacy. Like kids, I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just like their imagination or what they watch. They think like, oh, when you get to college, it'll all turn wonderful. When you get the display, and then you just keep going, you know what I'm saying? And like adults are telling them this crap, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, oh yeah, when you get there, it's just gonna be wonderful. When you leave, don't worry. Once you leave your parents' house, it's all gonna be wonderful. No, it's not. It's not, right? And so that transparency of being like, yo, little knucklehead, I have a desire to help people. Do you want the help I'm offering or not? Okay, you don't? Okay, cool. Just keep being a knucklehead and you deal with the consequences therein. And I think that's the big thing. Again, that's another big lie that kids struggle with, is they think they're going to keep getting chances. And that is just not true. The older you get, the less people want to help you. And the thing is, nobody likes a grown fool. I've not seen one person to be like, that's a grown fool right there. They laugh at you, they point at you. And this is the thing. A lot of times people want to see you do bad because they project their own tragedy onto you. You know what I'm saying? So like as kids, y'all don't really know this, but but once you get older, you know what I'm saying? People are like, oh, my life sucks. You keep doing what sucks in your life so I can watch it and watch it transpire and watch the drama from it. And that's the unfortunate part. So I think, kind of back to the germane question that you were asking, Olay, is how can teachers deal with the things that kids are going through? Some things they're not meant for teachers to deal with at all. Teachers are not equipped to be nurses and counselors and psychologists and advisors and financial coaches and all these different types of things, and still teach the actual subject matter that the kid's supposed to know, right? Like, this is nonsense. And that's one of the reasons why we created the LYS Classroom app, right? We stuffed as much as we could put in there in those 7 areas that Olay was talking about, and the being, knowing, doing that Olay was talking about, but align it to the standards so teachers can easily and quickly deliver powerful, transformative, life-changing lessons that put kids on a mission, right? A personal mission that they could go after for themselves. Because if you want to be successful, nobody can be successful for you, okay? That is another just nonsense. You have to build the success yourself, and nobody could be successful for you. So with that, I'm gonna go ahead and pause.
That's facts, bro. That's fact. Hey, you know what? I actually got 2 things to speak on that. Both of y'all spoke on something major, bro. I give 2 examples too. One dealing with you and the kids in class. It was Friday, right, when we did it, right? And then on Thursday, it was back to back. This kid came up to me and Crawford and asked us to help him with fractions. When Crawford told him to come into class, because it was a teacher night, and nobody was around, Crawford told him to come in class. He said, nah, I'm actually good. And we was like, hold on, don't you? And then his sister is my old student. Actually, she messaged y'all on, I think it was Instagram. I think Olay, Sharonki, I think it was Instagram, and she wants the Zoom link. And
okay, yeah, I talked, yeah.
Okay. So she's like, boy, grab the help. Then his older brother jumped in and said, no, he wants help later on, not right now. And Crawford, and I'm thinking, boy, you need help. And Crawford's like, look, man, I ain't gonna force you to learn it. But you coming to us saying you struggling, and we finna have you a whole class one-on-one by yourself, and you don't want it. Okay, bro. Then another time yesterday when you was doing it, bro, you could see kids who want it, bro. Like people like Caleb. I had one girl, she forgot to ask me for her phone. So she was sitting there sad the whole time, right? Because she wanted to take down notes, Festus. She was trying to take pictures and everything, but she forgot to test the phone. But you could tell, like you said, kids who want it, because she made her friend take all the pictures and text her to her. Because she's like, I'm not gonna miss out on this knowledge. I need this information. And I was like, bro, that's different. And you can ask Caleb. I tell kids in class, like you can ask Crawford. When the kid got on my nerves, I always kick him out. And the kids be like, he's not mad. I'm just showing you that the world don't have to deal with you, bro. Like how you said, people are lying to the kids, telling them that, okay, they will get another chance. This will happen. Like, I'm not mad at them. The kid can come back later on, but kids need to learn that in life, there's consequences, bro. And if you don't learn these consequences, then you're not going to make it. Like, you're going to be that grown fool. But we do have to get a better relationship, like, with the kids. Like, just do different things, help them understand. But like you said, we're not the counselor. We're not all this, but the district trying to make us all that. And now I'll stop since I done rambled on.
No, go ahead, Crawford. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, to add on to what Festus and Hill said about the consequences, and this is not making an excuse for the students whatsoever, because I don't believe in making excuses for them. But at the same time, the way the school system is now set up, they don't really see real consequences. The school system is set up in the way to where, if I can be politically correct, is that they want to avoid removing the students from the classroom as much as possible, which I understand that from the administrative side. But at the same time, it's hard to do that and show the students that there are real consequences. So when things are going down and you have teachers who may need the support of administration and so on and so forth, and they kind of see like nothing happens, well, the kid sees that nothing happens as well. And so they don't take things seriously. And I feel like the education system is setting these kids up for failure in the sense of how the real world works. Because and this is me having conversations with these kids, and that's why I say these kids have to want to grow and do better. They're so much a product of their environment, especially with the way that they talk and want to fight and resort to anger and violence so quick over, you know, foolishness of today's time. And it's me just sitting down trying to have these conversations, and these students don't even know why they're at odds. Like, I would ask a question, what is the problem that you have with this individual? They cannot even articulate the problem that they have with one another. So, and I'm trying to teach them how to resolve conflict with conversation and using the power of their voice to speak their minds. And they don't understand that. They rather just fight in X, Y, and Z, and because nothing's happening to them. Like, there's nothing happening. And in real life, you go on a job, if I curse out Mr. Sharanki or fight Mr. Sharanki on the job, I'm not going to have a job the next day. These kids not understanding the severity of their actions. And I feel like the school system is setting them up for failure.
Man, that is so powerful. And I agree with that 110% regarding not seeing consequences. You know, when the thing is, and this happened a couple, I'll tell two quick stories. One happened a little while ago. Somebody was like, hey, I'm trying to get my child to see consequences. I said, tell them to go outside and climb trees. Because this is one thing, because I grew up in that era where, you know, climbing trees was still a thing. And when you climb a tree, you give so much effort, and sometimes you just not getting to that next level. You know what I'm saying? You know how it is. It's a tree too big. You know, you're trying to get up in the tree that, you know, you're sweating and all this stuff. And I remember this one Sunday, came back home from church. First thing I went to go do, they was taking too long in the car. So I climbed the tree. So I'm up in the tree, church shoes and everything. My brother looked up, he said, Lakes, bees. I looked up, the bee nest was like literally right on top of my head. And I had to just jump down out the tree, you know what I'm saying? Because it was like, man, I climbed into this nest of bees, and then, you know, I hit the ground, you know what I'm saying? And so in that, there were so many different consequences I learned, you know, because my parents obviously didn't want me climbing in my good church clothes, you know what I'm saying? And messing those up. But then it was like, I wasn't even looking where I was going. And that is a life lesson in itself, right? And you learn these consequences very quickly. The second thing, and it goes to what Crawford was saying about, you know, students not having consequences in classrooms. So there was a young student back when I was doing ISS behavior intervention. And this kid, his mom used to come and cuss out people. So they never wanted to deal with this kid. Long story short, and he would lash out because he had behavior issues. He's seen some family members pass away, stuff like that. It didn't, you know, he had some anger issues. Long story short, upset with the teacher one day, kicked the desk fell, cut the teacher's Achilles heel, like literally ripped the teacher's Achilles heel, where they had to, like, she had to go to the hospital, right? So teacher's out of this class that day, right? And I'm surprised she didn't quit. And I'm like, the teacher is stuck between a rock and a hard place, because this young black man, if that happens outside of school, he's going to prison. The only reason why there was no charges pressed was because she was in the workplace. And the thing is, she has every single right to be like, I'm taking sick days for the rest of till my Achilles heals. Listen to the idiot. This is how we're forcing and jamming teachers into a system and a situation in which they cannot teach consequences. And what ended up happening with the boy? Pretty much nothing. Nothing happened with the boy, right? Now, again, had they sent him to me, I had some different tactics at that time, which that's why I left the school district, because I would have ended up on Fox, because I was just, I'm gonna be honest, I was doing some illegal chokeholds and some moves on some of these kids, like I knew where the camera was, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, but anyway, you know, but those consequences, the teacher's always gonna remember that, and the student's always gonna remember that. I can do this to a person and not have any consequences. So just fast forward, and the kid he was in 4th grade at the time. So fast forward 4 years, 5 years from there, he's going to prison. And who did him any service? So I'll end with that. I got a question for Caleb before we go. Caleb, have you ever heard this level of honesty and transparency from adults before?
No, I don't think I've ever heard anybody say that.
I wonder what Caleb thinks about the consequences.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask next. What do you think about the consequence? What do you think about this conversation we're having?
I think about the consequences is like if you do something wrong, you're supposed to have you're supposed to have a reminder that you're not supposed to do it. And if the person does it again, then they should get a consequence, like leaving the classroom or just pretty much going to another classroom.
That's what's up. That's what's up. Olay?
Hey, LYS fam, it's Olay. Thanks so much for listening to LYS. I just wanted to take a quick moment to talk to the parents. That's right, mom and dad. Parents, prepare your child for their best educational fit after high school with our comprehensive LYS Parents Guidebook. Our helpful guide includes a range of activities designed to help you better understand your child's unique gifts and abilities. Additionally, we provide valuable insights into the student loan debt crisis and offer practical tips on how to avoid accumulating large amounts of debt. Our ebook also includes a wealth of information on scholarships, grants, and payment exemptions that can help guide your child towards a bright and successful future. With our expert guidance, you can rest assured that your child is well prepared to make informed decisions about their education and career path. Don't let your child's future be in jeopardy. Invest in their future today by downloading the LYS Parents Guidebook. Simply go to lys.com/parents to get your copy today. Now let's get back to the show because you know it's some good topics. Yeah, real quick. I want to start off with a story. When you were telling the story about jumping in the tree and consequences, it reminded me of my good friend when we were in high school. He told me that, so, if you're jumping on a car, like your parents' car, you're literally jumping on the trunk of the car, like standing on the trunk and jumping. Your parents are going to say, get out from that car, right? This boy's parents, genius. Was my good friend. So they were in Nigeria and he was jumping on the car. His dad said, oh, you want to jump? Continue jumping on that car. If you stop jumping on that car, I will beat you. So that boy had to jump on the car and he could not stop jumping. Get it? So my boy was crying profusely, within 5-10 minutes, just crying because he wanted to stop. But he knew that if he stopped, he was going to get that work. And when I heard that, I was like, I can't wait to do that to my child. But I say all that to say, you got parents like Caleb's parents. And the funny thing is, I think we're all interacted here. Caleb's brother, I had Caleb's brother my first year of teaching. And I saw him and I knew he looked familiar, but I didn't know where I knew him from. And then I remembered that his brother Joshua told me about the channel that they have. Then I was like, that's where I see him from. He was there. And so there is a correlation between students like Caleb who come here and say what they said about hearing adults be that transparent and who are able to give answers like they did about consequences that I wanted to go over here. But real quick, I wrote some notes as we were all talking. And the first thing I wanted to, teachers can't do it all, right? And Hill mentioned that there's so much that's put on us that we just take, right? And I think that's one of the things we need to look at in the future is as teachers, I don't know if y'all remember a couple of weeks ago, I played that video about Matt Damon and his mother who was a teacher and that thing that they were doing in Washington years ago. And they were talking to Matt Damon's history teacher, I think. And he was talking about how teachers had so much input back in those days. And that really helped, right? And how we don't have a lot of input yet. This is what happens. So much more is required of us. It's a Miles Monroe quote. I haven't quoted him in a while. And the quote, and I'm paraphrasing. If you don't fight for your right, you will give that right up to someone else. Essentially is what he was saying. And that's what a lot of us have done, right? We've given up that right to be able to speak, especially as teachers, people who are working people who are passionate about what we do, or educators, I should say. And then I heard, I think Crawford everyone kind of said something around this way. Students must want to change, right? Students must want to change. But my question for everyone that I want to think about or wants to think about is, and I'm sure we know the answer, where does this come from? Where does that need for a student to want to change, where does that come from? If all they know is confusion, if all they know is, losing family members, if all they know is alcoholism, if all they know is abuse, where will they want to know that change from? Don't get me wrong, you have some students who are just like, this can't be it. This can't be life, right? But for those who don't, where does that come from? Where does that narrative come from? Meaningful relationships is key. That's one of the things I took early on when I started teaching, is having a relationship, not just for that particular year that the student is with me, but even after they leave, because I do see the power and I do see how much of a special relationship it is between a student and a teacher. When we mentioned this, sorry, the G is gone. I don't know how I can bring the G back. But I was thinking of a gospel mindset, right? When someone preaches the gospel, right? You give it freely, and if they want to take it, they take it. If they don't, they don't. And so this is a quote that Festus used to always say from the movie State Property: you want to get down or you want to lay down, right? And it goes back to the point of who, gosh, I'm missing it right now. Sorry.
You're talking about regarding who's going to teach them that if they're not, who's going to teach them this?
About the point of students must wanting to change, students wanting to change, right? Either you want to get down or you're going to lay down. Sometimes you need life to kick you while you're down for you to see that, right? Some things teachers are not supposed to be involved in yet. And that's kind of what we were talking about, right? But yet, because, for whatever reason, we've lost that voice, more of it just gets pushed onto us, right? And so one of the things I thought about as we were talking is, man, it sounds like we need to go Starbucks. And the reason why I said we need to go Starbucks is because I know y'all have heard in the news, like a lot of Starbucks are unionizing. And I'm not talking about unionizing, but I'm just talking about putting yourself in a platform where your voice can be heard and you're actually pushing for change that allows you to free yourself of the extra stress that we go through. All right. And I think this is the main part that I wanted to get into. We need to talk about parents. We really need to sit down. We need to talk about parents. In teacher circles, you hear a lot of teachers say, man, I don't know what's going on. Man, I don't know what these parents are doing. And I always try to think about perspectives. For instance, I work in a school district where a lot of the parents work more than one job. A lot of the parents are both parents, which means they're single parent homes. A lot of parents, there are language barriers. There's so many things that are in the way of allowing a student. But I feel like in any regard, there are certain things that every parent must be held accountable for. And it's very easy to put your finger on the teacher and say, why is my child not doing this? And I think for so long, we have bared that misguided blame. For very long, educators have bared the misguided blame, where we go, it's like a very toxic relationship where you're like, well, maybe it is me. Maybe I'm the problem. No, you're not the problem. You sacrificed so much. You're not the problem. It's misguided. I think a lot of times, and I'm not all parents, and that's why I say Caleb is a prime example of that. Not all parents, but a lot of parents have got to look at themselves in the mirror and say, how do I take charge of my family? How do I get my family back? How do I get my family back?
I think that's, go ahead.
Sorry. No, I was just going to say, I think a lot of parents have a lot of quick fixes that they do, to just kind of not even solve a problem, but to just kind of suppress the problem. And I think a lot of parents just don't have candid conversations with their children and just have those open one-on-one conversations. Hey, what's going on? And a lot of it is a lot of kids don't know where to go to. So they go to people who are on their level, giving them the same advice of what they would do instead of, you know what I'm saying? Having, you know what I'm trying to say? And so,
100%.
And so, you know, you want to do that at least, you know, if you can have a teacher. Like I had a student go through something and they were crying and the sister saw them crying. So the sister told the mom and then the mom asked the daughter and then we found out. And I was just like, you got two whole adults. The thing happened at school. You can't, and I know I'm not closed off. I may look mad, but they know if you have a problem, you can always come and talk to me. So, you know, that's just what I've seen. So
I think something that we are not necessarily hitting the nail on the head on, but we're kind of dancing around it is we've lost a sense of community. And this is what happens when people become so individualistic, is that if everybody's going their own direction, then we can't go in a direction. And when you look at all the different conversations and things that are happening in our society today, it's often people being individualistic, and then something happens and they say, oh, we have to do better. But that person was doing an individual thing. And so until we, you know, and this is really Western philosophy in terms of like philosophy of life versus like an Eastern philosophy of life, is, you know, individualism, rugged individualism versus like living in community and having true unity where you're so part of the community. You know, unfortunately, things do happen bad in those environments too, like what they call honor killings. I mean, I know I'm being kind of getting out there, but where your personal action brings honor or shame to the family, or shame or honor culture, and you know, and it's so detrimental what you do as an individual against the whole family that the whole family has to take action, even up to ending your life, which I'm not an advocate of that at all, right? Because there are other solutions within this too, which we try to use in the classroom, restorative justice, different kind of elements like that, right? But I think the thing is, and that's the thing that we are struggling with, I think, as a country, is you cannot transport culture and just drop it off in a neighborhood and think, oh, it's all gonna work out. You can't just say, oh, teach these kids restorative justice, because as soon as they leave the classroom, there's no restorative justice. It's you getting your teeth knocked out. And so the thing is, it's kind of a thing where we kind of need all of the above. And the sad but hard part is the ones who are going to get it, and the ones who are not, are not. And so we just, you're still on mute, Olay. But I think that's one of those things where as an educator, I think, you know, there's two main things, is like relationships with parents and relationships with students. And then I'm going to teach the content, because if I understand the parent, if I understand the student, I understand how that relationship is, then I know, okay, if I send homework, this is what's going to be the reaction. And sometimes I've had to do that in ministry before, where I will just tell a kid, I'll be like, look, you know your parent. I know your parents. You know your parents because you live with them. And you could, you know, I wouldn't advise that you bring this up, but this is what it is. You know what I'm saying? And I'll give one such example, is a family was upset with one of the young brothers of the family of like 4 or 5, because he did something sexually with the sister's friend in the house, right? While they were there. And it's like, okay, y'all in a 2-bedroom apartment. It's not like, you know what I'm saying? So these things are known, but because that person's parent who does drugs was so high, and they were with their boyfriend at the time, they really didn't care what was going on. But then when actual repercussions came later, police showing up, stuff like that, that's when it's like, yo, you know. And so it's like, this is the thing where it's like, that same parent will come into church and talk about what the church ain't doing, right? And it's like, wait a second, aren't you the crackhead that's having orgies in your house? Okay. Yeah. Okay. So anyway, we'll just and so I told the young man, I told him that at a point, because he actually came to stay with me. And I said, listen, these are the conditions in which you could stay over here. Number one, you cannot have contact with that girl ever again, right? Until we smooth things over with with what's going on. And then we got to get you places, because the guy, he was over age. Like, this is like, you know what I'm saying? And so because I wasn't there, I can't report with no evidence to the police. So I could just try to frame something for like, hey, look, you need to understand this, dude. Like, people ain't gonna take your BS. You know what I'm saying? And you're this close to going to prison for something. You see what I'm saying? And these are real life things that happen that, again, in young men's mind, because nobody really taught them consequences or repercussions, they're just like, oh, it is what it is. But really, the mother needed, really, in my opinion, she needed another woman to come and say, no, let me teach you how to be a mom. Because as a man, I can tell you some things about parenting that, hopefully, that should be obvious. Don't have orgies and drugs in your house. But at the same time, some things you need that friend relationship that says, listen, I've been where you've been, or I've come from that direction, or I kind of see where it's going. This ain't the way we're going to do that, right? And then go from there. So I are we still talking about lesson planning? No, okay. Olay, do you think?
I had that one question. Yeah, that seems like a great spot to end it for this Sunday. So, yeah, that seems like a good spot to end it for this Sunday. Did anyone have? Okay, I will fix.
Yeah. Anybody have anything else before we end?
Yes. Anyone else have any other comments? Really, really good stuff today, this Sunday. Nope. No one else? All righty. Let me get that screen back up.
I think Crawford has something to say, but he's like, I'm gonna just hold on.
You want to hold on the next week, or you want to you can say it now, Crawford?
Yeah, you go ahead, man. Go ahead. And then we'll end after you.
We good.
Okay. All right, folks. As always, LYS students, be no do _LYS if you want to get contact, or if you want to access any of our content information on Instagram, on Facebook, Laddering Your Success. Just type that in the search bar. You'll get access to the LYS free student mentoring on Sundays, access to our other videos, interviews that we may do, and information on the LYS teaching app. On YouTube, just type in Laddering Your Success. You'll get access to some interviews. Festus has done interviews. Remember, part of the reason why this LYS started is because Festus was able to get himself close to $80,000 in scholarships and financial aid. And he was able to help other people. Gosh, what was the number, Festus? How much did we help people?
Actually, for mine, it was 87,000 in
87. Oh, sorry. Yes.
Scholarships and grants.
Wow.
And then it was about 450,000 for the others.
For the others. Amazing. That's $500 million. That's $500,000. LYS Be No Do on TikTok. LYS Be No Do on TikTok. If you want to get access to more of our videos there, where we go over our 7 videos on our 7 different chapters or tenets, and just different things regarding current events and things that have to do with students, educators, parents. If you would like to send us an email to inquire about having us come over to your church or to your youth group or to your school to talk to young people, you can just send us an email at info@ladderingyoursuccess.com. Our Discord is live, Laddering Your Success. Caleb, you should have got that invite in there, please. If you got it, send it to your brother, send it to your friends so they can come in and join us on that Discord. And as always, if you love what we do, if you want to see us continue to grow, on Cash App, $Laddering Your Success. Send us, if you want to send us some fees, as Festus used to like to say, send us some fees. All right. So for Caleb, thank you so much for joining us. Love having you. Love your, you don't see it? Okay, just stay on. I'll send it to you in a little bit. You're welcome. Love having young people that want to come and see what we're doing, what we're talking about. D Hill, as always, thank you so much. Crawford, thank you so much. Love having y'all on. It's always the best. having you guys on. Festus, thank you so much for having the platform. We've been going strong with this. A couple months in, it was just me and you getting lost in Facebook world and having a log and blog and do all that good stuff. And now we got people joining on all the time. It's always a pleasure. It's always a blast.
100%, man. Thank you for everything you do and for just continual support, man. For me, I'm just elated to see how we're changing and transforming lives, even if it's a few people here and there. But again, if you guys are listening to this, because obviously, we turned it into a podcast by now. If you're listening to this,
hold on, we're a podcast?
Well, for those who are listening to this, this
is a podcast.
We're like this close, but yeah. So
wow.
If you are listening to this, please tell somebody else to tune in. Share this with somebody, because obviously, you see, we're cool guys and kids and gals and whoever else joins us. And so yeah. And look, if you want to join us on this show, just LYS mentoring.eventbrite.com. And you could log in and we'll send you
join us up on here. Absolutely.
Details. Yeah.
I love how you said that. Like, yeah, come see it. We're cool guys. Our conversations be bussing. I'm gonna stop right there. I'm sorry. I'm gonna stop. I apologize. No, but thank you as always, folks. We hope to see you again next Sunday for another Sunday of LYS Free Student Mentoring. Remember, folks, that's right. There are legitimate reasons to not going to college, but there are no legitimate reasons to not getting an education. Folks, have a wonderful Sunday. Have a wonderful week. All right, now, y'all take care. Oh, you still there? Well, thank you so much for listening to the LYS podcast.